head, and the sixth person, we nominate that person as a chaplain. Not necessarily that they are a real chaplain, but they lead the prayers, and the prayers, I mean, you know, people could say the board shall consist of 5 people plus. 5 regular people and 1 board, which would be the chaplain. Because you already got the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, sergeant at arms. And that other person is what we call the chaplain. That's what we call it. So if we give a name to it.
What I'm thinking, we get 4 people don't have to be. I mean, if the officers want to be part of it, I mean, for me, I would take a break.
Well, you don't have to meet if you have telephone conversations. You know, you can talk over the telephone. You don't have to meet during the months.
Then for those 2 months you say we don't meet, that's third.
You don't have to meet. You can have telephone conversations and decide things over the telephone.
Okay, I'll go in this way. I'll go.
Yeah, so I think that, you know, just get a group of people and then they can decide among the group, you know, who the officer has to be.
Oh, you're right, I didn't have a conference that one.
The president has to be a part of it. The president has to be a part of it.
Most organizations have as their executive committee all the officers, because it'd be very confusing to the outside if one person is the president but a different person is on the executive committee speaking for the organization. Almost no organizations have an executive committee where you don't have officers, and particularly the president, because it'd be totally confused everybody to one person, one group is deciding this, but is the president deciding that? It's virtually unheard of.
So what you're saying, it should be the,
Executive board is already plus 1 board.
Yeah.
That would be saying?
Saying 99% of all the executive committees that I've ever heard of, it's the office, the elected officers, especially the president, and then other persons who are also on the board. Free to do it any way you want, but I'm just saying the reason I think behind that is that it gets confusing for people to have one body the president isn't on, another body the president is on, and this body can do things that the other body can't do, and there's 2 different groups of people, you know. It just can be very confusing.
Because there was a say that.
can I get from both people, how they think about it?
But my thing is, I agree with what Mr. Peterson said. That's how most of them are. But to make it legal, it's up to you to say how many people that you want on your executive board. And most executive boards just have those 5 people. And I think this one is asking for 1 more.
Yeah, the bylaws say it has to be 6 people.
Yes.
So you don't have any discretion, you can't change that, you have to have 6 people.
But you want the bylaws to say what this 6 person's job is?
No.
Oh, okay. That's just on the committee, period. Yeah. See, I just went through this week. I was trying to explain to my people that how the bylaws was read. It just said at least 6 people, that you can have at least 6. And because of that word, L-E-A-S-T, they scratched it. But what really happens, once you scratch it, and something happens to, someone does something or something died, it doesn't give you the right to change position, so to speak. And I just went through this with the probably people down there, the DCRA, DCCPR, those people, the Consumer Regulatory Affairs. So my group decided to take out the 6 and put it 5. which now if something happens to one of the five, they don't have an extra person to fill the spot right away.
Well, with this committee, so long as you have a quorum, you can do whatever you need to have done.
We never have.
So basically, all the officers plus one more.
Which, that's how we say we made that one. We gave that title chaplain. Because this person is just not, it's a board member that gives them the right to help the board, but not necessarily have a particular position.
I think that's
You
different.
understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, but I think that's different than what we're talking about here. The two board members who are non-officers do not require a title or position in order to be
Right, that's
on
what
this
I'm
board. So kind of what we're looking at in the resolution is, and really the only question that we have to answer, I think, is do we want to adopt the resolution as it's stated, meaning that the executive board that will meet in the periods of recess will be made up of 4 officers plus 2 at-large board members. We have volunteers, Ms. Green and yourself, to be those at-large people. But what Ms. Griffin is saying is she's not sure that that's the structure that she wants right now. She's not sure if she wants to mandate that the officers be required to be on it. And she's saying that, hey, when I go on recess, I want to be on recess. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at. Is that the structure that we want to be on? Do we want to force the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer to, in a sense, work during the recess, or not? And then we can figure, and as well as the 2 at-large. I don't think we're worried about whether or not they have, the at-large folks have titles. It's more about the resolution. Do we want to adopt it as it is, or do we want to have a discussion on it later at the table and say, hey, let's try to come up with something else? I think that's kind of the crux of where we're at.
Yes, I would like to table this because at recess, I'm like, at recess. Until, like I said, and speaking for myself, until I get used to this and get it, I don't want to commit to something that I can't be at. That I can't be at. Well, I'm not sure I can be at.
So this is something you think we should table it for now, pick it up later? Okay, we're gonna pick this up in a later date, in one of the meetings. But we have more time, we have more time to think about it and discuss it. The next thing is discussion and vote on the symposium, October 2013 through May 2014.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a point on the symposium that everybody has in their message packets. The information for October and November was cut out. Mr. Pearson had copies that have the additional 2. The first one was for October 17th, the mandatory health insurance under Obamacare. How does that impact you? And then the second one for November was roads and buses in Fort Lincoln, Costco to the rest of Fort Lincoln and beyond. The 2 symposiums that were cut off. If you're looking at it in the meeting packet, otherwise you'll see it on the full front that Mr. Pearson has.
So everybody should have a long sheet. Everybody does have a long sheet?
In the October meeting, that's October 17th, the health insurance symposium. There were some people here yesterday from Medicine be willing to come back and talk to us about health insurance for the elderly. And also, on that day, AARP wants to come and talk about what they're doing, and they want to show a video that they did of the seniors that's in the project saying that meets here every Wednesday, and they want to do the videotaping. So I've been thinking if we don't have a lot of business to take care of that day, we could do both of those. Have the symposium for maybe MedStar to come and whoever else is on the panel. So I guess that would be something for Dr. Duggins to elaborate on.
So we have to change the date though, is that what you're saying?
That's our regular meeting day, October the 17th, that's Thursday.
Just by way of explanation for the symposium, last year we had a speaker series. And at the end of almost every board meeting, about 7:15, we had a speaker series on a different topic, hopefully of interest to the Fort Lincoln community. And this was the same kind of idea, this time a symposium, just a different word. And what we found last year was that it requires a lot of discipline to go through the meet, because you have to start promptly at 6:30, finish by 7:15, so your guests who sometimes were out of state. One time we had somebody coming from Boston. And so, they have air flight arrangements and all this kind of stuff. So it really requires the board to really be on the case, have us strictly adhere to its agenda, get to the symposium by 7:15, so the people who are coming from hither and yon, we have people like the mayor, we have all kind of people coming here. And so this is, so that's why it's something the board should vote on, where they feel that it's up to taking on a fairly ambitious, every month schedule, with these committee persons being responsible for taking over at 7:15 and putting on their symposium. And that's something the board feels it's not really up to. Doesn't think it gets through its due business by 7:15 so that the symposium can begin. If you haven't reached everything, then pick it up again after the symposium is over. Then we're supposed to be out of here by 8:30. Ms. Cousins indicates she'll have some flexibility about that, but basically should be wrapping up around that time. So that's really why it's a matter for the board to consider whether it wants to cut off its time to take care of business and turn it over to whoever the committee person is that's responsible for the symposium topic. And also whether these are symposium topics that are priorities for the board. Maybe you want to do something else. Maybe you want to table this too, But as you can see, it's a pretty rigid schedule. Ms. Duncan's already begun inviting people. Ms. Ann Wicker, we've already sent out emails, because the key to getting people to appear is get them plenty of advance notice. Let them know what the topic is, let them know where they need to be, what time they need to be there. They're going to be sitting around cooling their heels. We respect their time, and we will start promptly at the advertised time. So the board needs to make a decision about whether it wants to do that or not.
I know sometime last year, time for the symposium, we want to finish with our business, but as I said, when the panel comes in and they come in at that time, we can stop the business and go into the panel discussion and then pick up afterward that business.
Well, most people desire to do a symposium, have busy schedule and talking to them. And I thought we would just go ahead with this symposium and then go ahead after that, let them do it and get out of here and this can continue. I think that would be, again, like I spoke to you about that before, would be better for those people. Because most of them, they have busy schedules and they don't want to come anyway. So if they're willing to come, I think we should be able to honor that. Yes. Let them do whatever they got to do. Goodbye. When we turn, what this we do afterwards.
We're gonna have 3 people next month. We're gonna have 3 people speak next month.
Well, AARP and Head Start.
Head Start, and who is this other?
Let me revisit the thinking before. The thinking before was that people on the board, especially those who worked for a living, needed to vote on anything that was essential, get that business taken care of so they could be free to go to their families or prepare for work or this kind of stuff. And that you made them wait around for 2 hours before they could, the board business would be taken up, that you were going to start losing people who work for a living and who have family obligations and that kind of stuff. That was the thinking last year. And that so long as you told whoever your invited guests were a specific time that they could come and they expect to be heard promptly, that was not, most of these people, the speakers, they're accustomed to coming in the evening, at a specific time, and so they can be heard and be out of there at the conclusion of the symposium. That didn't present, nobody I talked to last year when we were lining up these things said it was a problem to appear at a specific time. Their concern was that would they be waiting around for an hour, half an hour, this kind of stuff.
But it's assumed that they will know, like, come in at 7 o'clock, not come in
Right.
at 8 o'clock.
We have on our website, 7:15 start time. You see, this thing says 7:15 for speakers.
Oh, okay.
And these are people who are, for the most part, these are people who are paid to go out to communities. They are accustomed to coming at 7, 8, this kind of stuff.
Right, yeah.
Usually the inconvenience is for the board members, especially those who work for a living. Being there to vote on things that you need, to get a quorum and this kind of stuff. They have to wait around for an hour, the thinking was, or an hour and a half. They may or may not
Right.
be around.
So it's basically we come in and do, we have to go until 7:15, and then the speaker does, they need to do 7:15 to whatever time.
And the board members are free to leave
Okay.
at that point.
Yeah, okay.
Really, actually, the committee takes over at that point.